Hey kids, this is the start of a video series about the low rank mons in RBY OU. I could start at the top and work down with like Hypno, but I want to start off with Machamp, because there's something special about a fighting type being worse than Porygon in a generation where the best 3 Pokemon are normal types. So let's get into Dumpster Diving in RBY Part 1. First problem Machamp suffers from is the Gen 1 stat system. Special attack and special defense are combined into the special stat in this game, so you have a spread like this. 55 speed sounds bad, but it's just enough in OU. You outspeed 2 of the big 3 members, outspeed Rhydon, and speed tie Exeggutor. It's got pretty poor special bulk and decent physical bulk, but that's not why you're using Machamp. You want to use the 130 attack, tied for highest in the game with Kingler, which gives it theoretically a great matchup against Pokemon like Chansey and Snorlax and Tauros as well. It's a fighting type, it's got super effective coverage against the best 3 Pokemon in the game. What could go wrong? So, let's review your stab moves. There's Low Kick, a 50 base power, 90% accurate move that flinches the target 30% of the time. There's also Submission, an 80 base power, 80% accurate move that inflicts 1/4 recoil. And that is it. No, really, those are the only fighting type moves Machamp learns in Gen 1 other than Seismic Toss and Counter. Yeah, Machamp suffers a bit from all the good fighting type moves either not existing yet or being exclusive to Hitmonlee. Submission is much stronger than Low Kick and notably has a guaranteed 2-hit KO on Snorlax. 64% of the time at least, because you still need to hit the move twice in a row. You also have to consider the recoil damage and the Snorlax attack you take in the process. It's generally preferred to run Low Kick nowadays because you still get the 2-hit KO on Chansey and you can 3-hit KO Snorlax. Wait, a 3-hit KO on Snorlax and a 2-hit KO on Chansey? Where have I heard that before? For your last 2 moves, you generally want to run Body Slam and Earthquake. You could run Karate Chop over Body Slam because it has an 84% chance to crit on Machamp's speed stat. This helps with Reflect Snorlax and Exeggutor, but you really miss out on the 30% paralysis chance, which is very important in Generation 1. You could also run Rock Slide over Earthquake to get a 2-hit KO on all the birds, but you do sacrifice the Gengar matchup by a lot. So Machamp doesn't have a great typing for OU. It hits the big 3 super effectively, but that's about where the positives end. The flying weakness isn't a huge deal, the only flying move you're going to see is Zapdos Drill Peck, but a psychic weakness is a huge deal. Alakazam, Starmie, and Exeggutor on basically every single team, which means that you don't get to use fighting type attacks very often because your opponent will just switch into their psychic types. Even against the non-psychics of OU, it doesn't do all that well. It gets 2-shot by Zapdos, Drill Peck, and the slightly uncommon Psychic on Gengar. Even though it hits Cloyster super effectively, it doesn't have a great matchup because it's slower and only has a 0.1% chance to 3-hit KO with Low Kick and just gets bullied with Clamp and Blizzard. It has a decent Jolteon matchup, but you really should just be using Rhydon instead, because Rhydon can beat both electric types and it's better against neutral targets than Machamp. Machamp is also terrified of paralysis, which Rhydon just does not worry about at all, other than a stray Body Slam. I've been kinda dunking on Machamp this whole video, but you can still kinda use it. It's pretty bad, there's a reason it's E rank and not even close to OU proper, but it's got some decent tools. It's best used as like a mid to late game killer, and you want to avoid paralysis with it as much as possible. It will be very tempting to just click a fighting move whenever they have a normal type out, but just be aware that they're probably just going to switch into a psychic type anyways. Other than that, you kind of just don't have a lot to do with it. You're better off just using Rhydon unless you really are afraid of Rhydon's ice weakness. But if you really want to use Machamp, you're probably going to have to build your team around the weaknesses that it has because it is not a good pick. So anyway, who wants to hear about Moltres next?